Welcome to Local Omaha. I'm Ken Bartholomew.
And I'm Kelsey Wiedel.
With each program, we bring business owners, entrepreneurs, nonprofits, and community leaders. And Kelsey, this week, our guest is?
Yeah, this week I'm super excited to welcome Jeff Beals. Thanks for joining us, Jeff.
Thanks for having me,
Hi,
Ken
Jeff.
and Kelsey.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Jeff, you know what? We were talking about this the other day. Kelsey and I got together, and there's just so many things to talk about. Well, typically, we'll have a business owner here, just somebody that's overseeing a community event, that type of thing, and really get to that. But with you, we're just like, man, there's so many areas here that we'd really like to talk about.
You do quite a bit.
I have career ADD.
I like
That's a good way to put it.
fit right in here.
I can't do just one thing,
So
I do
so
three.
let's say this though, because Omaha, you're from Omaha.
I am.
Went to West Side, is that right?
Yep, I did.
Yeah. And then what was your original direction or career path that you were?
Well, I don't know if there was ever a direction, but I did college and grad school in Lincoln, and then out of that, got involved in higher education administration. And first real job was in Santa Fe, New Mexico at a liberal arts college. And my job was to recruit students who would fly all over the country. It was a great job when you were young, and recruited students to this obscure liberal arts college out in the New Mexico mountains, and then worked at Clarkson College in Omaha, came back home after that. So it was a higher education administration start, believe it or not.
Oh, wow. I did not know that.
And then that rolled into commercial real estate?
Yeah, it's been about 26 years now that I got
Right.
involved in commercial real estate. And despite all of my other stuff, I still am part of commercial real estate today, work at NAI, NP Dodge, go to that office every day in which I'm in town. And commercial real estate is still an important part, one of the three things that I do.
It's actually, no, I'm sorry, we're talking over each other today.
That's what we do. Because there's so many things. I was going to say, I'm
Well, I was just
surprised
trying
you're
to-
still going to do that every day.
Yeah.
So obviously we talk, and I'm in residential real estate, but commercial real, like I'm amazed at how the building that's going on and how much, because you know, you hear, and first of all, I want to make sure, let's go ahead and talk about this from your, your Grow Omaha program.
Right.
With KFAB on Saturdays. That's a fantastic resource. I love the emails that I get each week.
Thank you.
Your reports, great snapshot of what's going on in the area.
Absolutely keeps us up to date with what's
But
going on.
in a world of like where you see retail struggling and the different stores closing and that type of thing, and then we've got all the building going on. Can you kind of walk us through that? Help us. Are we even really seeing a decline? Or is it?
No. Retail.
crazy.
You talk about retail economy here. The retail real estate market here is very, very strong. And so Grow Omaha Media, we cover the growth and development of the city and a lot of business news, and we're perhaps best known, or at least maybe second best known, for retail and restaurant coverage. And so a lot of times people will say, gosh, it seems like retail's struggling because we'll report on closures.
Right.
But the number of openings we report on in a given year outnumber closures about 5 or 7 to 1.
Oh, wow.
And so the retail environment does great. And the other thing we've seen in retail real estate is that there's been this move towards experiential or entertainment-based retail. And so some things, they really lend themselves well to being sold on Amazon or Walmart.com or something like that. But other things, people love to interact with the product before they buy it, or the service before they buy it. Shoot, you probably wouldn't be able to find 5% of the retail space in Omaha available right now.
That seems to be, I think we're lucky. We're in a great position compared to nationally, but there has been kind of a national trend as to where I was seeing maybe spas, wellness, gyms, things like that, and experiences, like you were saying, outnumber retail stores, several to 1. Are we seeing that here as well?
Well, to some extent, even nationally, it's more along the lines of retailers that have an experiential component to them. That's what's really popular right now. And then if you just look at say like a lifestyle center like Village Point. If you go and you count the number of bays at Village Point that are dedicated to a restaurant use or an entertainment use, and you compare that to maybe a shopping mall in the 1970s or 80s, what percentage of that was devoted to restaurant or entertainment?
Right.
It's way more now. It's way more now. You would go back when Ken, you and I were kids, we would go to a mall and there would only be a couple restaurants there.
Yeah.
And they were quick serve.
Right.
Yeah, so everything kind of changes, but retail space is super adaptable and and is therefore very resilient as the economy changes, because any business that wants to be in front of people and be easy to get to loves retail space.
Wow. It just, but so that one of the things I wanted to speak with you about too is, and I think I did some homework on this, but I feel like for the longest time I was hearing that Omaha was doing well keeping our graduates here and those that go to college, and with a goal of, hey, we want to keep people here. We don't want them to lose them to other areas or other markets and that kind of thing. And then I've heard that we are. Where are we where's that at right now? Is that, are we on the plus side of that? Are we losing? And then maybe what do you see as that of the whys?
Well, the good news is we are doing a great job of keeping recent college graduates. We're not doing a very good job of keeping 30-year-olds. And so, which is good, because there was a time, when I was a kid growing up in Omaha, we weren't doing that great keeping college graduates. So we are doing very well there right now. What we're finding in recent years, people are more likely to move when they go for that second job or that third job. And today people get their second or third job much faster than they did. It's not uncommon for people just to stay at their first job for 1 or 2 years now.
Right.
So we're having a little bit of problems there. And so I think we have to really do some work to incentivize companies to have a lot of really good second and third jobs for people. And that's a complicated thing, because on the one hand, you look and think, geez, Omaha, for a city its size, has a shocking number of big companies that are headquartered here. But despite that, we still need to do a better job of having those mid-level professional jobs here. And there's always something to work on. But that said, population continues to grow and increase. We've done an amazing job as a metro area in increasing our entertainment and recreation offerings and anything related to that. So we're doing a lot of things well, but we still have to do better.
So I guess that I get a deeper dive would have showed me that it's both are happening at the same time. They're just different age categories, that kind of thing. Hey, I want to jump a minute, because one of the things that happens is we talk about, before we know it, time just flies and it will be done here. But I wanted to speak with you about some of the speaking engagements and consulting that you do, that type of thing. So is there a lane, or is that from like startups, a lot of startup companies or experience and growth type companies, or are there some that have, like plateaued, or do you have a specialty there, or who do you get in front of, and how do you help them?
So that's the third part of my professional life. I do sales training primarily, a little bit of leadership stuff, a little bit of motivational stuff, but primarily sales training. And that's a business I own with my wife. It's called Jeff Beals and Associates. We had exhaustive focus groups to come up with that sophisticated and creative name. But so that through that company, I do sales training worldwide. But probably about 2/3 of what I do would be commercial real estate companies. Because that's my background. And so now you're starting to see this pattern that even though I do 3 different things, Grow Omaha, commercial real estate at MP Dodge, and my sales training company, they all kind of go together in a strange sort of way. So 2/3 commercial real estate. Other than that, my most common industries would probably be residential real estate, banking, do a little bit of insurance, and then a hodgepodge of every imaginable industry you've ever come up with. So earlier this year, I worked with a roofing company. I worked with a national security company. So it could be anything.
Oh, wow.
Very nice. Yeah, I didn't realize that. I mean, I knew the commercial real estate, but for some reason I thought that there was more. But hey, that's your lane, man. That's your expertise. I love it.
Yeah, and so I guess you can be a person riddled with career ADD, but yet still have some string of continuity that goes through the 3 things you do, and that's me.
So now let's jump into author. You have a couple of books?
I did. They're old. It's been a long time. Yeah, they came out in 2008 and 2013, which is hard to believe. But those 2 books kind of got me started in that sales training and professional speaking world. And frankly, it's one of the primary reasons why I wrote them in the first place, is I wanted to do some of that professional speaking and sales training stuff. And they were kind of the legitimizing factor, the credibility piece to get companies to hire you when I was first getting started.
And it also gives them kind of a snapshot look at what you do and maybe your methodology.
Exactly, Kelsey. Yeah. That way, people say, okay, well, he talks about this, so he's probably credible to talk about that.
Cool.
I feel like too that from listening to your program and that type of thing, a lot of companies like come to Omaha early for like in the commercial business category, mostly whether it's fast food or restaurants or that type thing. This is a good place for startup companies to really get some understanding of their level or degree of success. Is that right?
Yeah, and it kind of depends on the company. We see some will come very early to a market of this size, and that might be because they are looking for markets that mimic the U.S. population demographic, which Omaha really is close. And when you look at what the total U.S. demographics are, it's very similar to what we have in the Omaha area. So that sometimes will help us, or maybe they want a Midwest location, or they want a place where there's a very healthy economy and people have a lot of disposable income. So Omaha will pull in retail or national restaurant or entertainment concepts early if they're using that model. If they're using the start with the biggest markets first and work your way down, well, then we're probably about 58th.
Give or take.
Because that's our market size.
Right.
Yeah, so it kind of depends on what they're doing. We do know that for the most part, when national brands get here, they tend to do well. And they tend to be pretty happy with the results because, again, it's a good economy and people have disposable income here.
I've seen some that exited and then maybe 3-5 years later, they come back, find a new spot, new location, and it's worked out.
Yeah, we do see that from time to time.
I think one of the things is too, with some of the ones that I've seen recently, and then we've talked about that before, about the business that we were in together, is kind of difficult to measure some of the success of some companies with the whole COVID situation and some of the stuff that went on with that. So I think I feel like I saw some companies pull out of the market during that period of time, and then obviously they have to regroup themselves and then circle back and come in. So along with that, so going back to Grow Omaha, because I really like this program and I like listening on Saturdays.
Yeah, I highly suggest it. It's super informative.
Right.
Because I always hear people saying, what is this building going in on this corner? Or, does anybody know what happened to this business?
A few times
and
I'm driving down the
first
street.
place I go is Grow Omaha.
I'll be driving down the street and I'm like, I got to text Jeff because I really want to know what's going on over here.
We get a lot of those.
Do you? Yeah,
we do.
I bet.
Yeah.
So give us kind of in the last, couple of months or so like that, what are some of the highlights of what you've, broadcast or communicated to the public of being some
What are you
pretty
excited
cool
about
things
that's
happening?
coming on, that's going on in Omaha?
Well, and it's funny that you bring up driving down the street and wondering, because that's kind of the genesis of why we even started. People want to have a place to go to find that stuff out. And my business partner there, Trenton Maggott, and I were both involved in commercial real estate when we started Grow Omaha 22 plus years ago.
Wow.
And we were always asked, we would always say, you should know. And so that's kind of what started all of that. And like I said, started with radio, and then it turned into a weekly newsletter. And now we have daily news on our website. And it had, in the last 365 days, it's had 3.2 million views.
I believe it.
So it's really becoming a resource for it. And so when we cover news, our heritage topics are growth and development of the city, construction, economic development, and then the other heritage topic, what we were talking about earlier, new restaurant, retail, and entertainment reporting, entertainment business reporting. So what am I happy about, or what am I excited about? There's 4 big projects going on in Omaha right now that I think will fundamentally change the way our city looks and the way our city operates in the future. The first one is the $1 billion renovation of the Epley Airfield Terminal, which is doing great. I'm actually going to, with our photographer Brad Williams, tour it today, and we're going to share a bunch of photos and news with our followers. So that's huge. It'll have a huge impact on what we're doing and desperately needed as we grow our community. The second one is the Mutual of Omaha Tower, not just because it's a $600 million investment, but what it says about a city and what it does for a city psychologically. Whenever you build a really tall building, it kind of tells people, oh, this is a city that is moving upwards, figuratively and literally. The third project is the urban modern streetcar, which will connect downtown with the University of Nebraska Medical Center. It will be, in my estimation, the greatest catalyst for construction in the urban core in the history of the city. I can't wait for that to open in early 2028. And then the fourth and the final one, speaking of the Med Center, on the western edge of the streetcar is Project Health, $2.2 billion hospital. And that will be the most expensive building ever constructed in the state, and by square footage, one of the very biggest, 2.2 million square feet.
Nice.
That's huge.
So I think those are the four projects that are underway right now that will fundamentally change Omaha as we know it.
Wow. I think that's really interesting. I love seeing our infrastructure expanded through things like the streetcar. And, you know, however you felt about it, I know businesses are maybe kind of struggling with it right now, but I do think it's going to be I agree, it's going to be an exciting thing for us overall, especially now that if you haven't been down to the revamped Jean Leahy Mall, you know, that was kind of controversial at the time. It is an amazing space that Omaha has grown, and it's right there, you know, right by that new Mutual of Omaha building, right by that new streetcar. Do you think that Omaha has done a great job of kind of I feel like we're getting better at making connections, you know, making, you know, Epley bigger than right into that downtown area, which is now interconnected by bridges to the CHI Center. Now we've got the streetcar. Now we're hearing we're going to have a new big hospital there. Do you think that's something that Omaha is really focusing on? And how do you think that is going to change the Omaha metro area?
Yeah, certainly in the urban core, there has been a serious commitment to connections and transportation and different modes of transportation. And I say this as a guy that lives in a very suburban environment, in the same neighborhood as Ken.
Yeah, I'm right across the street. So
yeah. We're out there.
We're out there, right?
We're out there. We're halfway to Wyoming. And but despite my suburban residence, I can tell you the health of any city always emanates from its urban core, and Omaha is no different. And so our businesses, our elected officials, and our amazing philanthropic community here have done a great job of committing to the core. And in addition to blockbuster projects that you can see from a distance when you drive into the core, the number of small and medium-sized residential and mixed-use projects that are going on or on the drawing board is exciting. And so I think you're going to see in the next 10 to 20 years an urban core that gets more dense, more vibrant, more exciting, and generates a heck of a lot more tax revenue that benefits the entire metro area. It's exciting. I can't wait to see it.
It really is.
It'll be a lot of fun even for people like us that live halfway to Colorado.
You know,
Oh,
no, I was just going to say, so talking about that growth, you know, one of the things that I look at is actually, my wife and I go on drives and we hear this. It's like, who's moving into all the apartments?
Yeah.
And now you're seeing I'm seeing some neighborhoods with bungalows, essentially.
Yep. For rent bungalows.
Right.
Yeah. That are very dense.
So it's interesting to see that as well, too. So, I mean, you know, talking about residential home ownership, we understand some of the hurdles with that and the barriers to some entry for some individuals, whether it's the cost of new homes and then what's perceived now as being a terrible interest rate, I guess, when you've been in the threes in the past. But outside of that, and then talking about the young people and the apartments, to me is astounding. And is that just that growth? Do you just see that growth? Are they replacing things that I'm not seeing going away? Or what do you see with that development?
We are seeing a little bit of softness in the apartment market now, but only recently.
Okay.
And generally at certain levels, like for instance, brand new apartments are still filling up like that because who doesn't want to live in the nice new space? But we are still having population growth, and we had a shortage of housing units that has been years in the making. A lot of that shortage now is more observable in single family housing than it would be in multifamily housing like apartments. but I still think we need some more apartments. And if you look at, say, the urban core, for example, that we were talking about earlier, some of the older Class B or C apartments, you're starting to see a little bit of vacancy there. But the new stuff they put up, if it's nice, leases like that.
Right.
And when you look at suburban apartments, it's kind of the same thing. Anything new really fills. There's also a big shortage of affordable housing units. You know, some people have said we might be short 60 or 70,000 affordable units. That would be single family and multifamily combined. And so we have a lot of work to do there. But yeah, what are the causes of that? Well, during the pandemic, there was a slowdown of construction. There was actually a slowdown before that. And then population growth here in the Omaha area. You put it all together, you will continue to see a lot of housing construction going forward. You didn't ask me about the single family housing stuff, but if you drive around the suburban frontier, as I like to call it, in Bennington, Elkhorn, Gretna, Papillion, boom, there are single family neighborhoods going up like crazy.
Virtually unrecognizable from 10, 15 years ago.
Yep.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, and then the catch up, like, how do you catch up?
Yeah, it's a moving target because we're trying to catch up. Meanwhile, if we're getting a net of 8,000 or 9,000 people here every year, well, that's another 8,000 to 9,000 people you have to house, and so the catch up takes.
Right, and then there's that balance like you were talking about a minute ago. You've got individuals. So if we've got that 30-year-old that may necessarily not be staying, but you've got, you know, individuals that used to stay in their home, whatever, 12, 13 years, now staying 6 or 7, that type thing. And then you've got younger individuals who maybe want that apartment lifestyle. They don't have to, they can take advantage of some of this growth and some of the retail and some of the urban development and that kind of thing. But then they're also mobile.
Yeah.
So there's a lot going on there.
Oh, absolutely. And you know, you talked about the interest rates a little bit ago, and this is your world as a residential real estate agent, but you know, so many people are rate locked. They have that 2.9% home loan from years ago. And had the interest rates not gone up substantially, they very well may have moved. Now they're saying, I'm going to stay here for the rest of my life.
Right.
And so in the past, it would have freed that housing unit up for
Absolutely,
a younger person. And now maybe that younger person has to stay in the apartment longer because of that.
That's exactly the position I'm in. You know, we bought our house, our starter family house with our kids. You know, we locked into this fantastic interest rate thinking, you know, 5-8 years we'd move and then another starter family would be able to take that over. And that interest rate, we're just not giving up.
Yeah. Why would you? Until that day comes when you really want a new house or really need one, then you'll say to yourself, okay, I guess I can go throw a few more percentage points of interest onto my life.
Yeah, and we're seeing so many options too. Like you said, the expansion of the suburban growth is crazy. But I do think that's another benefit that Omaha has, and I'm sure you have a much better take on this than I do. I think that our Department of Roads, the way it's set up, is so easily accessible for people from these suburban areas. Feel free to move into that suburban area. It's still really only going to take you 15, maybe 20 minutes sometimes to get all the way downtown and enjoy all of those community amenities. You know, it's not out of the question to go downtown for lunch when we have, you know, the expressway now and the interstate. And the way our city has grown, I think, has been very beneficial to kind of have more interconnectedness.
Yeah.
Are we still seeing that, or?
Yeah, you know, it's traffic has certainly increased in Omaha, and there are times of day in which it's pretty rough, and there are, you know, certain thoroughfares that can get kind of sticky.
Every single day on
There's absolutely no rules. So you can just.
But it still compares very favorably to larger markets.
Yeah.
And we do get a ton of people that will come to this market from markets that are double, triple, or quadruple or more the size of Omaha, and they think the traffic's awesome.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, really, the infrastructure is set up for it that we are, you know, you see some cities where the interstate goes around the edge of town, or like the way Sioux Falls and Lincoln are set up aren't quite as conducive to interconnectedness as much as the infrastructure in Omaha is. And I think that helps incorporate people and business as well. I'm seeing a lot more of those little local shops. And are we still, I'd heard once that we are pretty high up there in restaurants per capita.
I've always heard that too.
How are we is that true? And are we still heading that way? Because I feel like Omaha is a community that not only loves to support local business, but loves to support a local restaurant, and we will try anything. Are you seeing that growth still kind of happening or experiencing that?
Yeah, I think every restaurant, or rather every city, has its chain restaurants, and Omaha does too, and always will, and should. I mean, that's part of the landscape of a city. But I do think our local restaurant scene punches above its weight for the market size. In my speaking business, one of my favorite things to do when I'm traveling is go to cool restaurants, and so I will spend a lot of time when on the road going to cool restaurants, and I think Omaha's stack up very, very favorably, and particularly vis-a-vis other cities in this part of the country, and in the Great Plains area. I think we stack up very favorably. And part of that is, Omaha is just a restaurant town. We've got a great culinary arts institute out of Metro Community College, which provides a steady flow of talent to upscale and local restaurants. And I think the city's just big enough at a million people metro area. It's big enough to have a lot, but it's small enough to feel like you're, as a consumer or a patron, invested in these local. I know I feel that way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel invested in the local restaurants and want to see them succeed. And I think a lot of people feel the same way.
I think that's a general feeling across multiple different types of businesses in this town is, you've always got, my friend owns this, or, my old school teacher owns this, cute little retail shop. And I think that's one of my favorite things I've noticed about Omaha is they really love to support.
That was one of the reasons, or one of the, like we talked about, is that kind of the genesis of what we're doing here. We just love to see
Omaha.
small business and
Learning
thrive,
about
and to the extent that you can get that in front of people and let them know. Because a lot of times, we talked about this. At one point, we had one of our guests was a franchise owner of a Dairy Queen. Well, you may have in your head that Dairy Queen's this large corporation. No, this one location, this one person, and it's a franchise.
Been in their family for what, like 30 years?
Yeah, longer than that, I think.
So they're able to have a really unique spin on it.
Right.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we are going to run out of time. So I want to make sure we hit a couple of key things. If you're a business owner or you're looking, for someone like you to do consulting, or if you have questions for someone like you, what is your website really quick so that they can look more into what you do and all of your talents here in Omaha?
Well, thank you. Yeah, so if they're interested in our local media company, it's growomaha.com. And like I said earlier, we put new news on there every single day, including the weekends. So go check it.
I don't know how you keep up. Yeah.
We have 18 people that contribute to Grow Omaha right now, and that will continue to grow. And we always look for advertisers. And then for sales training, it's just jeffbeals.com. Again, a lot of focus groups to come up with that name. It was so many other candidates, and we chose
money
that.
Spent well.
Yeah.
So really, just in wrapping, in wrapping up, if you had to pick your favorite neighbor, if you can't come up with one, maybe number two.
Well, how close does the person have to be?
Within a block.
Okay, because you're technically a block and a half.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So
the running.
if we go more than a block and a half, it would of course be you. If we're less than a block and a half, if I don't say my next door neighbors, I might have hell to pay
That's a good point.
when I get home. But you're up there, kid.
Okay, I appreciate it.
You're really up there.
Jeff, thanks so much.
Thanks so
Appreciate it.
much. Yeah,
for
we had a
coming.
great time.
See you next time.